2, Mississippi 3, Mississippi 4, Mississippi 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Planning Board meeting of the Village of Rybrook. Can you please stand up and let us recite Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For those of you that don't know me, I'm John Grzan. Our chairman, Robert Goodman, could not be here this evening, so he asked me to chair on his behalf, and of course, I'm very honored to do so. Board members present this evening are Scott Mendelson, Matthew Retner, Don Dalcom, Jeffrey Richmond, and Amy Shawn. And of course, Robert Goodman is excused. Also in attendance tonight are our village attorney, Jennifer Gray, and her colleague, Robert Zitt. Jennifer, welcome back. Robert, welcome. Thank you. For a long stay. Superintendent of Public Works, Michael Novak. Village planning consultant from Hardesty and Hanover, Sarah Brown. We don't have the planning board secretary here. And also in attendance is our liaison from the Board of Trustees, Trustee David Heiser. David, nice to have you. I am to read a couple of reminders. Please silence cell phones and other devices for the duration of the meeting. All applicants must address the planning board from the podium, and please speak into the microphone. And you can review the board's sessions and the past sessions on the streaming video, which can be accessed at the Village of Rybrook website. And that's all for the rules and regulations. I'm not going to read the rest of them. Our agenda this evening has 5 items, and I will do my very best that we don't stay here longer than we have to. All right? The first item on the agenda is the 9 High Point Circle. Mr. and Mrs. Slomiak, as the owner of the 9 High Point Circle, are requesting an extension of the steep slope permit for the work that they want to do on the property. For those of you that were on the board and for the new board members, in October of 2021, the planning board approved an application by Mr. and Mrs. Slomiak for site plan and steep slopes permit to regrade section of the rear yard and to construct an extension of the existing retaining wall. To date, to my knowledge, no work has been performed, and the steep slope permit is valid for 1 year from the date that it's first issued. In this case, the permit expired on October 14, 2020. I think this is somewhat of an unusual situation that at least I have encountered since I have been on the board, being that the permit has expired and 2 90-day extension time frame would have also expired last month, and no work has commenced.
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself from this matter. I was the chair of the Architectural Review Board for the PUD Belfair, where this was a matter that came up
Understandable.
about a year ago, so
okay.
I'm going to sit in the back.
Okay, understandable. Thank you. To save me some headaches going through the law, what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask our village attorney, Ms. Jennifer Gray, to provide the board with a legal overview as it applies to this case based on the New York State Village Law and also on the code of the Village of Rybrook. So Jennifer, please help us out.
Sure, absolutely, my pleasure. So as you did mention, the code does limit extensions where no work has been done with respect to a steep slopes permit approval. The code does limit extensions to 2 90-day extensions. However, it does also say that after those 2 90-day extensions have expired, if there's still no work that's been performed, then at the discretion of the approval authority, the permit may become null and void. So you do have the discretion to determine whether or not to grant further extensions beyond those 2 90 days. And that's the situation that we're in right now. So just a little bit of context with respect to your standard of review. Generally, when you're considering extensions of approvals, whether it's a steep slopes permit, wetlands permit, site plan, whatever it may be, absent any change, material change in circumstances with respect to the law that applies to the application, or the plans itself, if there's any change in the project, or any change in the physical site, then the extension should be granted. It's up to the applicant to advise as to whether or not there has been any change in those circumstances, and the applicant should also provide an update as far as their efforts in complying with the conditions of approval over these past, however long it's been, a year and a half or so, so that you can take that in consideration when you're determining the length of the extension that should be granted. So with that, you have two determinations actually to make tonight, because there's another provision in the code beyond determining whether to extend and how far to extend. There's a time period that's set forth in the code for when that extension should have been requested. It's 30 days in advance of the expiration of the permit. Here, the extension was requested after the 30 days. It was requested after the permit had expired. You have the discretion to waive that time period for the written request, and you have done so in the past for other applications. So there's the determination should be made as to whether or not to waive that time period for requesting the extension, whether to grant the extension requested, and how long that extension should be granted for. You do have before you, in case you want to proceed on it, a draft resolution that does set forth the two initial 90-day extensions plus 2 additional 90-day extensions on top of that, which would bring the period of validity to, do I have a copy of the resolution? Hang on, just bear with me a second. It would extend the permit to October 9th of this year.
Tell me,
So
can
you should discuss with the applicant
can
whether
the
that's a
extension
reasonable time
time,
period.
cumulative extension time, can it be longer than 1 year?
It can.
It can.
It
Very
can,
good.
yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Board
That's within
members,
your
any
discretion.
questions? Thank you, Jennifer, so much. For Jennifer, on the law and the standards of review are the ones that you basically outlined, that there is no change in surrounding community or the law per se. Okay. All right, let's hear from Mr. Slomiak, please. From my welcome.
Yes.
And I think I know who you are, but
Yes.
for the benefit of the rest of,
A few times in the
for
past.
the other board members, please.
Seth Slomiak. I live
Okay.
in 9 Half Moon Circle.
Welcome.
Raise the mic. Sorry. Apologies for the attire. I'm coming from a baseball game and going back to it.
I can understand. I just dropped
We
few.
do-
I
we
just
do what we
dropped
have to
few
do.
myself. Yes. While you are addressing the board,
Yes.
I'm going to tell you from my perspective the 3 questions that I have in mind.
Sure.
And you can roll your answer along those, and I'm sure the board members have some. First of all, why no work has been performed? Second, when will work commence and when will be finished? And third, you are probably aware of it, there were certain conditions in the approval resolution that the board granted to you back in 2021 that you had to comply with. It has to do basically with the engineering investigation of the retaining wall before you can secure the construction permit. So those are the 3 issues that I would like to hear, and the board members can speak for themselves. Welcome.
Yeah, so
Please. Yes.
the first and foremost, the reason that we haven't gotten to the point of actually getting the permit yet is because there's been a lot of back and forth between the town engineer and my engineer, and I think my engineer may have been he may have misunderstood a few things over the time, and some delays have unfortunately caused him to not get, there was one final document that he needed to get in that he did just get in, but it appears that there's a few minor tweaks and numbers that don't seem right, but we are, think very, very close to that point.
Okay.
So I think there was just some miscommunication along the way with, unfortunately, my engineer and the town engineer, and there was quite a bit of
Has
back
there
and
been
forth.
any submittal to the village
Yes.
and to our engineer?
Yes.
Michael, you can also
Yeah,
comment on that.
we did receive the load-bearing diagram, which was requested, and our consultant engineer has that. They're gonna review that from from a structural perspective. There are some minor things that we need to work out with the numbers, but nothing that we don't believe could be an issue amongst ourselves.
Whatever we do at the end of this evening, that's gonna have to be resolved because you cannot get the construction permit until that's done to the satisfaction of our engineer.
And we know that.
Okay, so great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And and if you start the work, how long it would take you to get it done?
So I don't know how long the work actually is going to have to take.
Any
but to your
idea from
point,
you, engineer?
the-
I don't want you to come back in 3 or 4 months and get another
Yeah, I mean,
extension.
the contractors we've spoken to said it's a couple of weeks of work. It's not like massive.
So you're not gonna run into the winter time?
No.
Okay.
We
It
are
will be-
looking, hopefully, and.
This
and
construction
Mr. Nowak
season.
and I have been in
Okay.
communication. We're looking to finalize those last tweaks in the numbers and be done this summer,
Okay.
including all the stipulations that you mentioned as well.
Board members, any questions?
No, just, should the numbers work out, how long do you think it will be before it actually, the ground is moved?
I do have a contractor that's already like sort of lined up to do it, but I can't commit to them until,
I don't need a
I know, so
specific
I don't-
date. Do you have any concept of when it could happen?
I would suspect within weeks of me getting an actual permit, and then we'll be done. But we plan to be done well before the winter.
Well before the winter?
Well before next winter, yeah.
That could be November, December.
No, August, September. I would say September, just to be fair.
Well, just to be clear, October is
I
your
would
next
say that
extension
October
until,
would
so
probably
let's
be more realistic.
just be aware that
That's-
work's gotta get done before then, before October,
It's got to be completed, or
Yes.
it's going to be started?
completed.
Okay.
It doesn't have to just be 2 90-day extensions. Is that correct?
No, I think Jennifer said we can extend the,
Yeah.
I do not want to limit you to 290 days, 180. If it's going to take 200, let's go for 200. I mean, we have better things to do than coming back and forth and extend the permit by 30 days.
The one thing I will say to you, and I think we've been very, very forthcoming and very trying to do this through the proper channels the entire time from day one. No ground has been touched. We're not doing anything until we know it's done properly and safely. So, to
And
your
we ap- and
point,
we
yeah,
appreciate that,
we
yes.
do hope to have it done by the end of the summer. But if someone comes in and says that there's something not proper, then we're not doing it.
That's a different story.
All bets are off. You will let us know then, and we will act accordingly.
course.
Yes, yes.
I mean, I personally feel like the extension in the resolution that we're going to vote on should be till the end of the year, because I feel like it's just a waste of time.
That was my inclination all along to do
I
that, yes,
think-
yes.
Yeah, that
yes,
would
yes.
kind of be my agreement
Yes.
also.
Any other questions?
Which gives you a reasonably good amount of time.
And to correct any potential issues that
Yeah.
have to be corrected beforehand. Yeah.
So we have two resolutions. First one is going to be to quote-unquote legalize the 290-day extension that we should have given you 180 days ago. And the other one would be to give you a permit extension till December 31 of this year. Subject to you starting the work based on construction permit being issued and you making the proper submittal in accordance with the requirements of the resolution. There are three
Absolutely.
items in the resolution which you are familiar with.
Yes, absolutely.
Any other questions for, can we read the resolution, please?
Sure. All right, approval of a request for an extension of the steep slopes permit for property at 9 High Point Circle. Whereas the property owners, Seth and Eleanor Slomiak, submitted a request to the Village of Rybrook Planning Board for an extension of the steep slopes permit approval issued by the Planning Board on October 14th, 2021, in connection with the proposed regrading of the rear yard, extension of a rear retaining wall, and other associated improvements at property at 9 High Point Circle. Whereas the steep slopes permit was valid for a period of 1 year to October 14, 2022. Whereas the village code authorizes the approval authority to issue extensions of steep slopes permit approvals. Whereas pursuant to the village code, where no work has commenced, the planning board can grant up to 2 90-day extensions, and at the expiration of that period, the planning board may, in its discretion, find the permit to be null and void. Whereas pursuant to the village code, a request for an extension shall be made in writing at least 30 days prior to the expiration date, but can be waived upon good cause shown. And whereas the planning board reviewed the particular circumstances involved and discussed the status of construction at its May 11th meeting, whereas the request for an extension is a type 2 action pursuant to SECRA, now therefore be it resolved, the planning board hereby waives the 30-day period for requesting an extension for purposes of the pending request for an extension. Be it further resolved that the Planning Board of the Village of Rybrook hereby approves 2 90-day extensions of the steep slopes permit, which shall be applied retroactively beginning October 14, 2022, effective through April 12, 2023. And be it further resolved that the Planning Board of the Village of Rybrook hereby approves, and I'm going to modify this from the initial draft, additional extensions of the steep slopes permit, which shall be applied retroactively beginning October 12, 2023, effective through December 31st, 2023. Be it further resolved, if a further extension of the steep slopes permit approval is required, the applicant shall submit a written request at least 30 days prior to December 31st, 2023, at which time the planning board will consider such request.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Slomiak, I need to remind you, as you can probably tell, we have a short board. We are missing 2 board members. So you need 4 votes. I don't know how the board members are going to vote, but you have a choice. If you want to, you can postpone till next month when you will have a full board, hopefully.
No, I'm okay.
Okay, good. Just so you know. All right. Michael, call a roll, please.
Mr. Mendelson?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Rettner?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Richmond?
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Schoen?
Yes.
Yes. Chairman Grzan?
Yes.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 5 yeses.
Acting, please. I don't want to go. I don't want to go back to that.
Well, I was trying to promote you.
No more.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have a? That's it.
No.
Second, did you combine 2 in 1?
All the actions were all part of that.
All one. Yeah, that's what I thought you did because there is a 31st. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I hope we don't have to see you back would be November.
I'd
30
to see
days.
you
Don't
under
forget.
Under better circumstances.
Take care, huh?
Thank you. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Have a good one. Okay. Second item on our agenda is 15 Paddock Road. The applicant, Mr. Frank Santorelli, has submitted the application for approval to do the rear yard improvements, including patio, grading, drainage, and landscaping. Mr. Cermele?
It was a good, very good first shot. Cermele, there's a silent H in there, but
Okay.
I've been called worse.
Not as badly as I.
So good evening, everyone.
Good
Joe
evening.
Cermele, Principal with Keller Sessions Consulting. I'm the civil engineer representing Mr. Santorelli. He's here with us tonight. And we have before you what I think is a relatively simple application. We're proposing to regrade an existing rear yard for a developed lot, do some plantings along the rear lot line for some screening, and construct a small patio. So for those of you that are familiar with the area, 15 Paddock Road, this particular property is somewhat, sits at a lower, the rear yard anyway, sits at a lower elevation from both the front yard of the house as well as the surrounding properties. There's the properties on either side sit topographically higher, and there's 3 houses that abut the rear of this property that front on Orchard that are also higher in elevation. So the rear yard, a portion of the rear yard is somewhat in the bottom of a bowl, and the owner's finding that, especially in the spring and in the fall when we get the frequent rains, the yard is somewhat unusable. And it just takes a long time to dry out. There's no wetlands, there's no floodplains in the area. It's just, I think, of nature of the soils. They're very clayey soils. It just takes a long time to drain and to dry out, so you could actually use the property. There is on the western property line, there is a drainage easement for the village. There's an existing storm sewer that takes discharge from Orchard Road through the property in an easement into Paddock Road, and then it continues on. And you'll see in a minute.
Is the drainage from your property connected to that storm?
There is
Drain?
one existing drain in the driveway
That goes
we
to that
believe
storm drain.
The survey didn't pick it up. We know where the drain is, and in looking at the direction of the outlet pipe from that drain, we assume that it's going to that storm line.
Do you have a
We're going to
survey
pick-
that you can show us?
I have a digital copy, if you like. I could pull that up. The survey was the basis of this plan that you have before you, the existing conditions plan.
Okay, oh yeah, okay, that's the one, all right, that's the one I
If you
meant,
look at
yes.
the western property line, there's that's where the storm line is, the village storm line.
Yeah.
And there's an existing drain in this corner of the driveway. And as I was saying, you know, when you look at the drain, you can see there's a 4-inch pipe that heads towards that easement. So we assume it connects to that storm line. With the proposed plan, we want to replace that drain and reconnect it to our detention system so that we know where it is, we can maintain it, we know it's a proper connection. We don't know how well it functions. Frankly, I don't even know if it should be there. So we want to correct that situation as well as improve the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're proposing is simply to, it's about 9,800 square feet of area in the rear yard that we would like to strip the existing topsoil, stockpile that for reuse, install an under drain system of a network of perforated pipe that would then connect to a header pipe, a main connection that would then discharge into a detention system. It's a series of 2-foot-high concrete vaults that we're proposing. As I said, the soils are such, infiltration won't work. We've done some testing. It's too wet. So we're proposing a detention system that would hold back and detain the stormwater and release it at a controlled rate into the existing village storm sewer. We've done a stormwater analysis. We've analyzed pre- and post-developed conditions, demonstrated that this design will mitigate and actually reduce the peak rates of runoff through the 100-year storm event, anywhere from, I think, 1 or 2% to 8%.
So your storm drain system is designed not based on infiltration,
Right.
but basically storage,
Exactly.
with the idea that when it reaches certain level, that water is going to flow into
It will always discharge, but it's going to discharge at a very slow rate.
Where?
Into the existing storm sewer. There is an existing manhole that's on our property line in an easement.
Mike, is there some sort of a regulation that controls how, what, and who connects to the village storm system, drain system?
Based on the code with regards to stormwater mitigation, overflow and connection is permitted to the stormwater system. However, in talking with Mr. Cermele, we went through the process of doing the calculations and coming in at a net reduction in runoff to the system, because that's always a concern about overburdening our system. So in the calculations, there's a net reduction of flow. One thing they're not capturing is necessarily sheet flow or hardscape. Okay, so they're capturing the infiltration that's coming in through the grass and permeating up from the ground and trying to dry the upper 2 to 4 inches of soil so there's a usable backyard. So they're not redirecting, with the exception of the driveway drain that's there existing, the hardscape off of the building is not being captured at the moment. It's just the rear yard.
Do you allow certain percentage of retention basin to drain into the system, or how does that work?
Our code does not have a number in there right now. There is no number that says needs to be 5% or 10% reduction.
So they can have a detention basin 8 gallons for all practical purposes, right? And the water will just flow through the 8-gallon container right into your storm drain.
Correct. In this case, they have a series of galleries here that are going to hold back that water and meter it out with like a 2-inch pipe.
That just doesn't sound like right to me.
If I may,
Does that not burden the village drain system?
It utilizes the drain system, but at a net reduction in runoff from the site. So based on the calculations, they're reducing it anywhere from 2% to 8%, depending on the storm system. So based on calculations, it's a net reduction in runoff
To the
the
storm,
system.
Into the system.
Into the system. So if you would to have 1,000 gallons going there now, existing, based on this, minus 8%, it will be 920 gallons.
Yeah, okay.
So it would be a net reduction
reduction.
overall,
All
correct.
right, okay.
But yes, our code does not have a specific criteria for net reduction, like a minimum value. For stormwater management, if this was adding additional impervious, they would have to do full capture of all runoff and maintain it on site. But due to certain characteristics here, they may not be able to do that because, as you heard Mr. Cermele say, the soils here have very poor percolation. So the only other avenue would be a retention system with a metered outflow, basically performing the same task, but it would be 10,000 gallons or something, and I'm exaggerating that. It would have to be a sizable system to handle that with a metered outflow that would take 3-4 days to empty.
You are adding about 350 square feet of impervious surface. That's basically the patio, correct?
136.
Yeah, 3 or something thereabouts, yeah, okay.
And that, the runoff from that would also drain to that system.
Drain system.
So, you know, it is,
Right.
while we're not picking up the house, we are picking up the driveway, which we don't know if it's being correctly conveyed to the storm sewer now, and we are picking up the patio.
With this system in place, is the yard going to be still wet, or is it going to be more usable? I'm just curious,
Better be more usable.
what are you looking to
We're
achieve
gonna be in
here?
trouble. But we're simply looking to just, right now, we've had, certainly after the rains we had the last week and a half, and that past weekend. I haven't been there since then, but I'm sure the owner can, I don't know if you want to explain what's out there now, but the times I've been out there, when you walk out there after, a couple of days after a rain, the ground is spongy. And we just want to avoid
Yeah.
that. He's got a couple of.
Now,
young
this
kids.
property, if I read the survey correctly, slopes about 8-10 feet
From
back.
east to west.
Yes,
Right.
right, to me, front to back, or whatever, yeah. How does the water flow, surface water flow affect the neighbors? Does it affect at all?
No, actually, we receive any surface flow
From
the
them?
neighbors.
Okay,
Yeah, so that will still continue to happen. There is, on that storm line, there is an existing storm manhole that has an open grate on it.
all right.
So any water that comes from those properties will still be able to get into the existing line as it does today. I understand the neighbor to our, I guess, in this corner here, just recently went through some improvements. They've installed, they're at a higher elevation. They have the ability to do infiltrations, so they've been installing a number of dry wells for their improvements. So we expect the runoff from that property to be reduced further, which is great for us. But we're simply just trying to get a yard that's usable. No other improvements aside from the patio. And then for some privacy, the owner had planted some evergreen screening, some arborvitae along the rear lot line. A lot of them have died because it was so wet. So we want to do, in addition to this regrading and under drain system, we want to create about a 1-foot-high berm along that rear lot line so that we could replant and give them a better chance of survival.
Okay, any question from the board members, please? Sarah, did you look at this?
We did, and this application is mostly grading, as the engineer has explained, but from the planning perspective, for the arborvitaes that they're proposing to put in, we'd just like it labeled on the plan the size of the arborvitae planting. That's typical information that we receive. But other than that, we had no comments.
Yeah, that was an oversight on my part, and we're planning, if acceptable, we would like to do a 6 to 8 foot height at time of planting.
When you are digging and moving, you are disturbing almost 10,000 square feet of dirt, of ground, so there's going to be a pile of dirt. How are you going to keep that dirt from getting into village storm drain?
Standard erosion and sediment control practices. We'll have silt fence, maybe hay bales if needed. It'll be managed we don't expect the project to take too long, but certainly if it extends beyond, say, 14 days, that stockpile, we'll do either a cover with a tarp or temporary seeding, some kind of additional erosion protection to help mitigate that and prevent that from happening.
Michael, that's...
The existing drain inlet, sorry to interrupt, but the existing drain inlet at the property line will also be protected.
Right.
So that should the stockpile breach the sediment controls at that location, we'll have a second level of protection.
Okay. Any more questions? If not, why don't we schedule the public hearing? And then
Right.
we will hear from, hopefully, neighbors, see what they have to say.
Right,
All right?
perfect. Appreciate it.
Do we have a resolution for to schedule the public hearing?
We do. I'll read it for you.
Thank you.
Whereas an application has been submitted for approval of a site plan involving drainage improvements on the property located at 15 Paddock Road. Now therefore be it resolved, the Planning Board of the Village of Rybrook will hold a public hearing on June 8th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. in Village Hall, 938 King Street, Rybrook, New York, or in a virtual format as may be determined depending on public health concerns to consider the above referenced application. Be it further resolved that the applicant is hereby directed to comply with Section 250-40 of the Village Code regarding notification of the public hearing.
Can we have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
Michael, call the roll, please.
Mr. Crum,
Yes.
Mr. Mendelson,
Yes.
Mr. Ratner,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Ms. Schoen,
Yes.
Acting Chairman Goodman.
Yes. See you next month.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Take care. All right, moving right along to 1 Hunter Drive. Okay. And who do we have here?
Adam Arias with Onim Kirby Engineers.
Okay.
We are representing.
You
Mr.
are the
Gabriel.
gentleman that submitted the application, correct?
No, that's Keith Werner. He's part of our office, but he's in South Carolina at the moment. So.
No, actually, the applicant says on the form that was filled out.
Oh, for me.
Yes.
Oh, hey.
Yes,
Most
yes,
recent
yes, yes.
Submission, yes.
Yes, yes. So tell us, what are you going to do?
So we're looking to renovate the backyard. So the main development is going to be a swimming pool. So we have a patio, we have a couple of stairs, some low-height retaining walls that are going to be grading, 2 separate sections in the backyard, and we'll be obviously installing a drainage system for a complete site development, actually total site management. So we're including all of
Do you have anything to show us?
I did not. I do not. I thought there was something that was going to be done digitally here, as I saw in the previous meetings, but
We do have a digital screen there.
can we use that?
Yeah, do you have a laptop? Do you have anything?
Oh, no. I thought it was based on here. No.
So how are we supposed to know what you're going to do? I don't have the drawings because they don't want to give me the drawings. I'm old-fashioned. I know. I'm used to having big roll of drawings.
Yeah.
You
Usually,
don't have anything
yes.
to show us and
Usually
to
we
put
would
it
be
on easel.
bringing in our board, but I guess it was my mistake for assuming that everything was going to be
Well,
shown
please do
here.
me a favor. When you come back,
Project a little bit, I'll see if I can do something.
when you
All
come
right.
back for
All right, I
the
appreciate
no,
it.
seriously, when you come back for the public hearing, you do have something that you want.
Oh,
to
no, definitely.
Yeah.
This is my first hearing here, so I apologize about that.
No problem. No
And
problem.
I
no
tried
problem.
to do my research and check online to see how it was done, and I thought it was all digital, so I didn't bring anything.
Because when
I
you
brought some pictures of the actual site, but not the actual
when
site
you
plans.
install the pool in the backyard with a large amount of disturbance, we do want to know what the contours are, what the
Correct.
situation
No,
is.
yes.
As you can have heard from the last discussion,
Yes.
Stormwater is very dear to all of us.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Try to pull it up on the phone.
I think he has photos. Where do we get the photos from? Because they're not online.
I don't know.
Oh, there we
Oh,
go.
look at that.
Oh, look at that. Didn't take long.
That's something.
Yes.
Rental fee.
It takes, it takes a bit.
Beautiful.
Sorry, so explain that to them.
Go over there and point few things to us on the big screen.
All right, so we have 100 Drive, we have the backyard in this area over here. We're going to be proposing the swimming pool.
A
Which
pretty
is-
large swimming pool.
Uh,
40 by 22, right?
um,
Yeah, that's what it shows on the drawings. I checked my eyesight today.
Is it big? Yes. Yes, it is. But as you can see, there's also a big drainage system to also handle all of the total impervious site coverage on the actual lot itself. So we have a swimming pool here. Yes, it's very big. We have a couple of retaining walls here that are going to separate the grading. So this is going to be a lower elevation than this top portion over here. We got some changes to some stairs and some deck areas to meet our coverage requirements. And yeah, so basically we have just drains from the actual gutters from the actual existing building and all the new impervious area that is going to be created going to these 18 Caltex, 330 Caltex, that if there is an emergency outflow, it's going to go out to this emergency outflow here with an emergency, with the level spreader. And that only will apply when it's for the 100-year storm. So currently this, this drainage system actually takes care of all of the stormwater management requirements and also up to the 100-year storm. And it also handles all of the impervious coverage that is on the site that was existing before as well.
How many chambers? You say 18?
We have 18, yes.
Okay. And show me, where is the pool equipment, pumps?
So we have a pad right next to the house in this area right here.
Okay,
That's where all of the equipment is going to be.
all right.
What about screening? Have you thought about screening?
Screening? Screening for?
For the pump area. How visible is it from the neighbors?
We have approximately, yeah, 23.
And whoever is doing the design of your pool equipment,
Yes.
please make sure that they use variable speed pumps. Even though the regular pumps may be within the code that the village has, I think we want to keep the noise
Yes.
as low as possible
Okay.
in respect for the adjacent neighbors. And for a couple $100 more, you can almost half the noise level.
Okay. Yes.
So when you come back, I for one would be looking for the type of pumps.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I would like to see some screening around
Some
it.
screening?
Yeah.
Okay.
How, now, just knowing that area, Hunter slopes down to Latonia, correct? Like we're sloping towards the front of the house. No?
It slopes down towards Pine Ridge.
Yeah, because you have your
Well,
one,
you have a compound angle.
yeah, you have your 186 contour here, and you're at
Pool is
197.
at the low point.
This
It's
area.
at the low point. So if it's at the low point, I mean, how visible is it gonna be from the surrounding neighbors? Like, cause they're higher.
Right.
For what exactly are you referring to?
I'm just looking to what, jumping on what Amy said, to the screening.
For the screening? Oh, okay. Either, but if you would like us to do some screening around that, I'm sure that's not an issue. So if visibility with grading that's fine. That should be no problem.
Is there any elevation change between the proposed location of the equipment and the pool?
You're at 187 with the pool,
It's about 9 feet, Matt.
and yeah, you're at 192. It's a little bit less, but
With
yeah.
that elevation change, is there any chance that the as the contractor would start work, that the pool equipment would have to be relocated elsewhere on the lot?
I wouldn't see really any issues in terms of basically, we have a whole side of the basically 23 feet here that we're always going to go around the pool equipment either way. So it shouldn't really be an issue in terms of any vehicle apparatuses or anything that need to get through.
Now, the question is, with the pool equipment being where it is and the inlet pipes or the intake pipes,
Okay.
you got about 12, 15 feet of head.
Yeah.
Are we comfortable that that pump package being proposed can handle 15 feet of head and stay primed and not be moved at a later date or proposed at a different
Oh,
location
because the head
because
is
of
not-
15 feet?
Gotcha.
That's a lot of head for a pool pump.
Yeah. Well, these would be questions we'd have to ask the pool.
I like the location of the pump right now,
Okay.
because it's by your house and it's not by the neighbor's property.
Yeah.
So what I can,
Yeah, usually
I'm not
they'd
gonna
be
speak
around
for
the
Mr.
pool.
Redner, but what he's basically hinting, don't come back later on and
Right,
you're
said
gonna
we
put the
could- right.
pump equipment, 10 feet away from the neighbor's home,
Right.
Okay.
all right? Because
Yeah.
that's,
Hey, I
Right.
mean, I agree.
It's an issue we're particularly sensitive to.
Oh, yeah.
I have a question on the, if I can, Mr. Chairman, on
Please.
the stormwater management report.
Yep.
You talk about in the report that you are aware that you have to capture the 25-year storm for 24 hours, but the calculations are all regarding rates of flow. And normally what we see, because of it's a volume requirement, that you show you capture the full 24 hours of 25-year storm volume. And I don't see the calculations in the report. In fact, you don't even necessarily say that you capture it all. You just say that the rate of water running off the site is not increased.
It's just reduced.
Right, but that's not the standard, because you've, as opposed to the last application we had where they did not cross the 400 square foot threshold UR. So now you're into a whole different regime, and I don't see the calculations to back it up.
Yeah, I specifically don't have the calculations on me to show you where they are or anything. Or I actually, Keith was the one who was handling this project. But based on what he told me, basically the water quality volume, not the water quality volume, the volume of the impervious area that was going to be captured up until the 100-year storm. So after the 100-year storm, that's when it's potentially the emergency outflow was going to be used. So whatever, if we need to show you specifically in the next meeting where basically what height or what volume we're capturing underneath whatever the outflow would be, we can show that and say that this is capturing that total amount that we need to require.
Yeah, I suppose I'm going to be looking to the village engineer just to tell me that, you've come to the meeting of the minds, and he's satisfied that, he's seen the calculations that back up the capture, which, Mike, to this date, have you seen those calculations?
No, I have emailed to Keith Werner asking, because it did seem that they were a flow-based or flow reduction, which our code does not take into account. Our code is full capture and retainage on-site for a 25-year storm without taking any credits for the coefficient of runoff. So that needs to be clarified for the next round to make sure that we are handling full capture for a 25-year storm event. A overflow is permitted and the levels spreader is okay. I'm always worried about it when it's close to a neighboring property. That should be only at an extreme case for storms higher than a 25-year event.
Which it is.
So, yeah, I mean, just be mindful of that being within 10 feet of a property line.
Yeah.
Should be further away than the property line, so just be aware of that.
Okay.
So, yeah, we got a little bit of homework to do.
Okay, that's perfectly fine.
And then I would just add my voice to the others in terms of suggestion to actually talk to, the equipment vendors
Yeah,
on the
exactly.
pool pumps, because, the theory and the practice sometimes diverge.
Yeah, no, I agree.
how much, it's a large size pool, so the base of the pool has to be a flat surface, of course. How much cut and fill do you have to do here? Would you gonna have to bring any material, or you have enough material on site?
I think think we're going to be removing material.
So you will have excess material.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you, what kind of slopes would you be creating?
We won't be creating, I know, and actually wanted to address the memo that was given to us for the environmental consultants. They were asking about the location for the steep slopes disturbance or creation, I guess. We were actually going to have, we haven't shown it, and this one specifically would be showing it for the next time, but it's pretty much the area, it's a very small sliver in the really backyard, which is like, it could be 5 to 10 feet of just of steep slopes that we would need to actually show. So it's a small sliver in comparison to the rest of the property.
Because you are asking for the steep slope work
Correct.
permit, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I think when you do come back, we need to know a little bit more about the steep slopes.
Yes.
Right.
No, there's a comment that we needed to address as well regarding that, so we'll be
And
showing
the
the
question
disturbance and
that
showing that
Mr.
on there.
Crum asked too about the retention versus the flow.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? All right. We are going to schedule you for a public hearing for next month, assuming
Okay.
you're going to do all the notifications, and you will have the information that either us or the consultants are looking for in hand
Okay,
by then. All right?
sounds good.
Do we have a resolution, please?
We do.
Okay. Can we read it, please?
Sure. Whereas applications have been submitted for approval of a site plan and steep slopes permit for the installation of an in-ground swimming pool on the property located at 1 Hunter Drive. Now therefore be it resolved, the Planning Board of the Village of Rybrook will hold a public hearing on June 8th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. in Village Hall or in a virtual format as may be needed depending on public health concerns. Be it further resolved that the applicant is hereby directed to comply with Section 250-40 of the Village Code regarding notification of the public hearing.
Okay, thank you. Michael, hold the roll, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Second.
there we go.
Mr. Crum,
Yes.
Mr. Mendelson,
Yes.
Mr. Retner,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Ms. Schoen,
Yes.
Acting Chairman Goodman,
Yes.
Mr.
Goodman.
Grzan.
Well, I'm about 20 years younger and more handsome, right? Hey, thank you. Okay, see you
Very
next
much.
next month.
We'll have a good night.
Take care, huh? Next one is 47 Hawthorne.
Thank you.
Of course.
Invoice.
Welcome back. This is application by Mr. Gregory Varone for a site plan application to construct a new single-family home at 47 Hawthorne. As you gals may know, we did approve the subdivision back in January 2022, where basically the corner lot was subdivided. Front lot is existing home, and this is a second lot where the new home is going. And walk us through.
Good evening,
Good evening to you too.
Mr. Acting Chairman.
And your name is?
I'm Greg Varone.
Oh, you are Mr. Varone, okay.
Greg,
Yeah,
and
okay.
I am the new homeowner, or not home yet, but I'm the property owner and the applicant.
Good,
And I just wanted to take a minute up front to introduce myself.
thank you.
And so as you know, I'm here seeking your approval, site plan approval to proceed in building this new house, which will serve as my new home, hopefully the home that I retire in. So I've given that a lot of thought. But I'm not sure.
I looked through the plans, I liked them.
Good,
Yeah,
good.
the architect did a nice job.
Yep.
I hired
Yeah.
a very talented team.
Yeah.
And it's not a coincidence because I'm not your typical homeowner, just so you know. I'm an engineer, and besides being an engineer, I do have quite a bit of background in land use. And I grew up in Pelham Manor, where I'm very actively involved in the community. And in fact, I currently serve as chairman of the zoning board for the past 12 years. I've been serving in that capacity on the board for 22 years. And prior to that, I spent 5 years on the Village of Pelham Manor's planning board. So I
We
appreciate what
we
you guys
always
do.
have vacancies on this board, so
I have my hands full right now, but I certainly, the message is that I am looking to make Rybrook my new home. I absolutely fell in love with the community. You guys do a great job here. Very impressed with everything thus far. So I wanted to just let you know that,
you won us all over.
well, hopefully that's the end result. But, you know, the message is I'm here for the long run.
Sure.
And so prior to putting any pencils to paper, I have given this quite a bit of thought. And I personally am very sensitive to land use issues and how they impact the community. And it is my goal to build long and lasting relationships with my new neighbors and to make sure that the end result is an enhancement of Hawthorne Avenue. So I know it's a complicated plan. It has a lot of features. Everything has been well thought out with that spirit. And so I don't want to take up any more of your time. Again, I appreciate what you do, and thank you for considering this. Much appreciated. With that, I'd like to introduce Chris Utchig, who is my engineer.
Sure.
Who will take you through.
We know, Chris.
Acting Chairman, members of the board, thank you. For the record, my name is Chris Utchig. I'm
Welcome,
the
Mr.
civil
Utchig.
engineer who
Yeah.
prepared the site plans for the project. As the chairman explained to everyone that this has been a problem.
You speak into the mic.
Sorry. This is a lot that was created from a subdivision from back in January 22, which also secured site plan approval for a different home, but many of the issues associated with the land use of this property were vetted through at that time, and many of the components for as far as drainage and utilities are
Please,
similar.
before I forget, and I think Jennifer, we talked about this, there was some confusion as to exactly when was the map, subdivision map filed. The date that I see on,
June 7th, 2022.
yeah, but the date that was on the survey that was in the package had like a November of 2020 or something like that.
I would have to research that.
Please talk to Mr. Spinelli, have him look at it, because I think the survey has a wrong date the map was filed. Actually, it was filed before the subdivision approval was
I'm looking
approved.
at the plat now. It's,
Oh, you're looking at,
it's June 7th.
okay. All right, that June 7 sounds like a good date then. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I can confirm that, I did double check that, it has the county clerk stamp on it from June of 2022.
Okay, good, thank you. All right.
The property includes 27,253 square feet. We do have steep slopes. They're identified here with these hatch patterns. All of the intended development is outside those steep slopes, but it did affect the buildable lot area, which reduced the buildable lot area to 25,066 square feet, which we accounted
Speaking
for.
about those steep slopes, I walked up street yesterday from the gas station to my house. And for all the years, I keep looking at those exposed tree roots right along the North Ridge Street. And some of those are on a corner lot, some of those on your lot. Hopefully, by the time we are done with building this beautiful home, we're going to do something about those roots being exposed, and it just doesn't look aesthetically pleasing.
Okay.
And there is a lot of tree branches that are hanging right onto Ridge Street that you almost have to bend as you walk. So hopefully that will be taken care of.
Okay.
I had to, I'm sorry to interrupt
That's
you, but
okay.
I had to tell you that.
Well, we have our landscape architect here who can go through,
Okay.
we have an extensive
Okay.
planting plan associated with the project.
Okay.
So the buildable area is 25,066 square feet. The property straddles two zoning districts, both the R15A and the R70, and also has the scenic overlay over the property. It's currently an open property with maintained lawn with trees. The lot fronts both Hawthorne Avenue and North Ridge Street, so we have the setbacks for front yards on both sides. With regard to the site itself, the house was built or designed to be able to sit right into the topographic contours of the property. There's no real regrading of it. The grade at the street on Hawthorne Avenue is elevation 121. The first floor of the home is at 121. The average grade around the property is 115. Essentially what happens is as the grade falls from Hawthorne to North Ridge Street, the foundation gets exposed as it goes down. So there's no regrading. It really fits very well into the property. Drainage is captured for all the impervious area. It retains and infiltrates the entire 25-year storm. That's accomplished through 21 Coltec 330 galleries in 3 different locations. Here in the front, here on the side, and one in the rear. The majority, all of the driveway, the majority of the building go to the front, larger Coltec unit configuration. The patio, the deck, and a portion of the side of the building go to the side, and what's left of the backyard, which is the lowest portion of the property, we put to the 3 in the rear.
Okay.
The utilities that are going to service the property, the water and sewer will come off of Hawthorne Avenue. We'll be servicing the house with underground electric via an aerial line across to a pole that we're going to set at the corner of the property, which will then go underground from there to the house. The electric service on Hawthorne Avenue is on the opposite side of the street. We're going to have an emergency generator backup system, which is located here. There'll be a bank of HVAC units, which are located here. The garage is located about 100 feet off of the curb line of the property. So we introduced the circular driveway to allow for backing up and then being able to go basically forward out off of the property.
The backup generator is going to have a fuel tank, correct?
It
Or is
will.
it gas?
I believe it's going to be, we'd like it to be gas, but with the moratorium,
Yeah.
it's likely to be propane. But that's a point to be
And
vetted out.
so all of that you will design it according to the standards, correct?
Correct.
And emissions and everything else.
Correct.
All right, good.
If it's going to be propane, just maybe designate an area for the tank anywhere on the plan so that it's at least located.
You're not doing any work within a scenic road overlay district, right?
We're not.
No, you're not touching that.
Well, I'm sorry.
Except that you're going to do the...
The Coltec units,
You're going to fix those exposed routes, right?
Right.
Okay, good.
Did I read somewhere that there is a pool or a pool, there's room for a pool?
We are not proposing a pool. We currently just have a deck, a patio, and a fire pit. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
While there's no pool proposed currently, I want to maybe leave that option open down the road sometime, but
I read somewhere, I saw a pool mentioned somewhere in the application, in the narrative. And I said, well, I didn't see it on the plan,
Oh.
so I must have misread it.
yeah, I'm not sure how it maybe someone read my mind because I don't, I mean, I've actually thought about it, but have decided going forward, I would like to build a house and get settled in, and then maybe come back at some point in the future if it makes sense to take that on. So just so that you understand that up front, but that is not part of the original plan.
Thank you.
So then, is that impervious calculated into the, the tanks and all that?
It's not.
It is not, but the engineer and me went forward and looked at what we have, and frankly, the patio that's designed is a very large patio. And between the patio and the fire pit, I calculated, and you'll have to keep me honest, it's about 1,000 square foot of impervious. And frankly,
That's 20 by 50 pool,
it's
right?
huge. What I'm not convinced of, because we were really trying to focus, on aesthetics and making this fit in, is what I might not do is build the patio immediately and maybe cut that back and live within that impervious that's already been designed into the stormwater management so that I have the flexibility, because I have a lot of impervious.
Well, I'm an engineer too, so.
Great.
But just so you know, there is a proposal in the village to not give credit for reducing existing impervious. That's not the code yet, but
see.
it could be changed.
I see.
There has been a proposal at the
Thank you for
big
mentioning
board
that.
level.
Thank you, that's very important.
And the trigger is only 400. So like even if you removed 400 and added 400, you may have to then, account for the whole new pool.
Yeah, and perhaps I wasn't clear, but I wouldn't be removing necessarily because I would hold off on construction of the patio.
Oh, okay, so you're getting approval for all of that, and then
I'm
you're not-
getting, yes, correct,
Okay.
you have it. I'm seeking approval for the patio that's on the plan and the fire pit that's on the plan. And that impervious coverage is almost 1,000 square feet. So, to be clear, I may not build that. I would like to get it approved. I'd like to try to get the house started and then think some more, because obviously the patio and the fire pit would be done last. I might revisit that and say, instead of the patio and the pool, maybe I have a much smaller patio and a small pool. It would not be a large pool. So that's just my thinking.
fine.
And if that's okay, that would, even if they pass a different law, I'd still be able to, hopefully.
I don't know, the laws they're talking about are pretty complicated, so I don't know how they're.
Okay, thank you for
Yeah,
mentioning
no,
that.
I'll just, that's on the public record, yeah.
If you ever do build a pool, would be a new site plan review, so
Yeah.
Yes,
whatever
understood.
we say today doesn't really hold.
I understand that. Yes, sir, thank you.
Is there any questions?
Sarah, I think you had a letter, and there was some letter from the applicant responding to you.
We still have the architect is here to make a presentation
Oh,
as
okay.
well, and our landscape architect, so.
Let us hear from Sarah, and then
Okay.
this is site issues, and then we can talk about the architect, yeah.
I didn't have too many issues. The biggest thing, I just want the scenic road overlay district labeled on the site plan.
I
And
think they have done that, yes.
yeah, with the 35 vegetative foot buffer. I did receive your plan this afternoon. I'm sorry, I didn't have a chance to verify all of these
No,
were
that would be-
addressed.
yeah,
Yeah.
Talk to us about dual curb cut,
The dual curb cut?
yes.
Yeah, as I was starting to say before, the driveway is 100 feet away from the curb line, so there's a long distance to get from the driveway out to the street. And this is actually a very handsome property. It's 100. We have 180 feet of frontage, which allows us to be able to utilize the circular drive, which, particularly as things go forward for the applicant, as he gets older, it'll be a lot easier for him to be able to navigate backing and then getting out onto the Hawthorne Avenue without having to back out all the way. That he can come out face forward, if you will.
And the separation between the drivers is significant anyway.
The separation of the driveways is about 50 some odd feet, so it's significant. Where 25, the turn is 25 feet off of the property line. This is about 15, so it's about 40, so you can see
Okay.
it's beyond, it's more than that.
Okay. Anything about the tree removals, or you are satisfied with the trees that they're taking
She
down?
stopped at the driveway.
Oh,
That was my next comment.
okay.
The replacement tree plan that they had, I just wanted them to verify the number of replacement trees because I think it's 21 rather than 19.
Explain that, though.
And
Let me ask you something. If they take the tree down, because even the Michael approves that it's in a bad condition, they still have to count that into the replacement formula.
they do.
I should know that because you made me replace it. I'm not about that.
And then the other comment that I had was the extension of the driveway to provide that semicircular driveway does remove a 30-inch caliper tree and a 12-inch caliper tree. So if that portion of the driveway were to be removed, it would minimize the number of mature trees removed from the site.
All right,
I'm open to address those comments.
please, yes.
Good evening, everyone. For the record, my name is Abigail Adams, registered landscape architect, owner of A2 Land Consulting out of New Fairfield, Connecticut. To clarify the tree removal, our original chart lumped in 2 trees that were less than 10 inches into the 10 inches to 24, so that's where the miscalculation was coming in. So we actually have 2 trees that are less than 10 inches, 12 trees that are 10 to 24 inches, 2 trees that are 25 to 36 inches, and 1 tree that's 37 to 48 inches, equaling 15 trees to be removed per the code 9. We're still hold steady at the 19 that we had made. So sorry about that. That was where the miscalculation was coming from. And then we have added, and again, sorry it came in late, but we wanted to try and address as much as we could before the meeting this evening. We have added the limit of the SROD and the 35-foot vegetated buffer limit here. Trying to point and have the microphone at the same time. I'll speak as loud as I can. So we've shown that 35-foot setback. As you can see here, there's existing vegetation already. That's the approximate location. The rest of that area currently now is lawn. So I'm gonna go right into the planting plan here. As you can see, we prepared an extensive planting and replacement plan. The replacement trees include a variety of maples, sweet gums, dogwoods, magnolia, and American holly. At the driveway entrance on the right side, we have an extensive planting plan there of evergreens and deciduous and ornamental shrubs as you enter into the driveway on the right. In the middle island, we are proposing 3 specimen paperbark maples, and then we have saucer magnolia lining Hawthorne Avenue. Then we provide in the along the western property line, we have a evergreen screen and buffer planting along that property line, both for Mr. Varone's benefit as well as for the neighbors. There's a shed on the neighboring property that's very close, so we want to try and screen that from the fire pit area and the patio. We've provided additional screen planting going down the southern property line there, heading towards North Ridge. And then, as you can see, we've tried to add an extensive amount of planting into the vegetated buffer area in order to beef that up quite a bit. Around the patios, we've added ornamental and evergreen material as well. And we have provided on the following sheet a cross section that shows the vegetated buffer area from North Ridge up to through the house. The existing vegetation here, and this is the size of the evergreens at installation height with some of the proposed trees that are going to be going in there. So some of the replacement trees will be added to that vegetated buffer area. In that area right there, in our southwestern corner, we are proposing a partial shade meadow mix so that the whole entire area is not going to be manicured lawn, but we're going to have wildflowers, grasses, really a nice area for pollinators. So we just wanted to make this a really beautiful, it almost has a park-like feel now, the property, so we want to try and maintain that aesthetic even after the construction. And then just wanted to note that just to get a full understanding, we are proposing 53 evergreen trees, 17 canopy and flowering trees, 144 shrubs, and 142 perennials. So wanted to pack it. That's it.
It's going to be beautiful.
Nothing. Greg's already giving me a hard time. I know. So Chris has spoken a little bit about the circular driveway. I know that it's a very important feature for this property. It's an integral component of the overall design. We've added that into our memo. We think it's going to have much more aesthetic appeal, visual value for the streetscape than a hammerhead driveway might have in this area.
I think also there are a lot of homes on that block that do have this circular
That's
driveway.
correct.
Yeah.
We did note, 12, number 2, number 12, and number 26 Hawthorne Avenue also have circular driveways, so we do feel that we're fitting in with the character of the streetscape again, with having this driveway this way. And then in terms of the tree removal, the ones that are specifically related to the circular driveway, we would actually be proposing to remove those regardless of the circular driveway, in the fact that they're very damaged and old and dangerous. We have included a picture of T15, that's the one, very unhealthy and dropping very large branches. So the picture even shows one of the large branches. So it's a safety issue, particularly for that one. And the other trees in the this area specifically, Mr. Varone is looking to place solar panels on top of the roof, and they would be an impediment to that. I think those are all my key points, and I know that Justin would like to speak about the architecture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's hard to see.
Good evening. My name is Justin Manieri. I'm the architect for 47 Hawthorne. And though this is not an aesthetics board, I'll just keep it brief, and give it more of a macro view of what we're trying to achieve here. I mean, we have this beautiful property with this broad street frontage, and I just want to point out this is some neighboring homes, both on North Ridge and Hawthorne. And so you can see there's a sort of a nice eclectic look on Hawthorne, and we wanted present and design a home that would fit into the character of the neighborhood. As you can see, there's a lot of 2 stories. There's a few close to 1 story or capes with a second floor. And this is the park-like property, and so we wanted to preserve that feel. And as Abigail is, pretty much going to expand the park-like look, and maybe we don't build the house, and maybe the little shed, he'll live in the shed for a little while. So, and because of the configuration of the property, it did present a very challenging building envelope, as you can see. And so, given what is permitted square footage, one is tempted when you build a new home is to try to max out the square footage. Done all the time, nothing unusual, right? We took a different tack. As you can see, the maximum permitted, again, is 4,300, almost 4,400 square feet. We're coming in front of you with a home under 3,000. So we're not being glutton and maxing out the property, because we want to preserve the beauty of the property. Also, what we did was not to present Hawthorne with a massive facade, a large volume. What I did was break up the massing, and this is what I want to talk, we're talking about planning, how it fits in the overall neighborhood. I did that by pulling the garage towards the back. A lot of times the garage is off to the side. It creates a big, disproportionate, scaled volume. So what I did was, what I'm presenting Hawthorne is a much smaller footprint. And by elongating the massing and breaking it up, as you drive Hawthorne, the house will feel much smaller in scale. By pulling the garage back, it gives the feel of a detached garage, which would be more reminiscent of the older homes on Hawthorne, and creating a link to the home. Also, we have the challenge of Northridge, so we have two fronts. So I broke down the massing here, again, not presenting Northridge as you drive, even though there's gonna be a landscape buffer, you're still gonna get glimpses of the house. And I don't want that to be, again, overwhelming. And so, knowing that the property does slope back towards Northridge, a two-story home would feel almost 3 stories in the back. So we designed a one-story home, not typically done, but it works here. And we have this beautiful, we're blessed with this beautiful side yard, so the orientation of the home is taking advantage of that, looking out this way. So we have this massing, we have the 2-bedroom zones with the living area in the middle and the garage here. So we broke it all up so we don't have this massive volume. And I should go to the, quickly, here's the plan. So as you can see, we have, this is what people are gonna perceive as a drive-by. This is hidden behind, it's almost like in the concept of an expanded cape. In the old days, they built a cape. As they got larger, instead of going sideways, they went back to preserve the nice character of the home without creating this bloated feel. So we brought it to the back. So this whole area, including deck, is hidden, and then it's sandwiched with this sort of smaller breaking that's going to be viewed over Northridge, and then the 2-car garage. We kept it modest, tucked away, and this slopes down. So when you drive on Hawthorne, the garage is down and it becomes less visible, and it's only 1 story. That's the roof plan. So as you can see, this is really what you're gonna see. You're gonna see a 1-story house that's gonna have, again, I don't wanna get too deep into the architectural aspects of it, but with a board and back, modest materials that plays into much more historical reference, but yet with a very clean sense of lines of a more contemporary living. Again, not grand, but nicely massed. And as you see, the garage is down further back, even though in a two-story, in a two-dimensional drawing, it feels like it's forward, but it's set way back. And then, as you can see, we broke down the scale throughout on all elevations. This is the view towards, the side yard, which is the park-like property. And then the view from Northridge, as you can see, again, it's scaled small, it's broken up, there's a lot of depth to this. And we start seeing a little of the basement, but I extended the siding to cover that part of the basement so you don't see the foundation. So again, we wanted to be sensitive to Northridge, even though with the landscape, the heavily landscaped buffer, we wanted to be able to present a view to that street that would be aesthetically pleasing. So, and then off to the far left corner, we're creating a small shed for storage, and the shed would be very complementary architecturally to the house, bringing all the same materials. It's a shed 20 by 14, and as you can see, metal roof, the same type of siding, windows. So again, it's not going to be unattractive and be very complementary on the site plan. It's just want to bounce back to the site plan to show that location. And we brought it to the far, as you can see the envelope, so we took it all the way here. Again, so when you're driving here, this is sort of this little accessory building off to the side. Again, creating this feel of an older.
You said that a beautiful view of the side yard, and you had me there, but then you put in this little tool shack right in the middle that you're looking at it.
Well,
Of all the places, you put it right in the middle there.
Well, as far as the building envelope, there's no other place to put it. So we don't have any room here. We can't put it, so this is the only spot, and we kept it as far away from the house. And, you know, I would make the argument that shed would finish would be as nice as any house on the street.
All right.
I mean, so the materials.
It's gonna be landscaped also, so.
Yeah, it's gonna be landscaped as well. I mean, we're not going to Home Depot and getting, nothing against those sheds, you know, and sort of, you know, getting a trailer and dumping on it. I mean, it's gonna be built with a foundation, and when you look at older homes.
I'm gonna check my stock tomorrow morning. If it went down this much, watch it.
Not trying to put down Home Depot, I go there all the time, but, you know, again, we wanted to present the nicest shed around, and that's what we, you know, felt. And,
Okay.
so the massing you see is consistent with, what we're trying to present on Hawthorne. It's a beautiful street. A lot of people, do drive from, Northridge and cut through, Hawthorne, so we wanted, as you drive up, you get this nice corner, and if you're coming in this way, it presents another nice corner, so it doesn't have that, rectangular side, front and rear. We want to create a much more.
Okay, I'm going,
porous
thank you, I'm gonna, any questions from the board member on
Are you
the,
proposing solar on the roof at this time, or?
That, we are exploring that, and yes, I mean, at this time, we're not ready to present that, and, but that's something, the owner is exploring and may, do so. South here, and the solar panel, if we were to do it, it would lie right here, and it would not be in view of, that's another reason, that elongated, space that presents a nice roof plane for solar panels, that if it was installed driving down Hawthorne, you would
Michael,
see it.
the solar panels are just done by the by the permit, right? Does the village issue a permit to install solar
There's a
panels?
permit and it goes through architectural review board,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, all right, thank you. All right, thank you,
Thank you very much.
very nicely, beautiful house, wish you luck.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions?
Can I just have one?
Please.
In consideration of the pool potential,
Mm-hmm.
what we're gonna do is modify the plan and resubmit it with just the amendment that the portion of the patio that would be converted to a pool will be added.
Okay. What will happen with the shed if you put the pool there? There
It'll
goes
be
the,
where-
there
it'll
there
be
goes
where
the
their
shed.
Where their equipment goes.
Oh, you put the pool
Big
equipment there,
equipment.
yeah, all right. Okay, great,
Thank
thanks
you.
you so much. Okay, if there are no questions, we do have a resolution to schedule a public hearing. Can we read it, please?
Whereas application has been submitted for approval of a site plan for the construction of a one-story single-family home with an attached garage on the property located at 47 Hawthorne Avenue. Now therefore be resolved, the Planning Board of the Village of Rybrook will hold a public hearing on June 8th, 2023 at 6:30 PM in Village Hall or in a virtual format as may deemed necessary due to public health concerns. Be it further resolved that the applicant is hereby directed to comply with Section 250-40 of the Village Code regarding notification of the public hearing.
Please. Do we have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
Thank you. Michael?
Mr. Crum,
Yes.
Mr. Mendelson,
Yes.
Mr. Retner,
Yes.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
Ms. Schoen,
Yes.
Acting Chairman Grzan.
Yes. Okay. That brings us to the last item for the evening, which is 52 Bonwit Road. The applicant is looking to... Okay, please let us know who you are. Oh, no, 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 do that. Where is Michael? Maybe he can give you a hand.
He's talking outside.
He knows the process. He came loaded with everything. Even making an amendment on the phone.
We're not going to go through all of those, are we?
There it is. You think? Okay.
I like a still be.
Microphone. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Gregory Caccioppoli, professional engineer on the project. I'm here representing my client at the homeowner of 52 Bonwit Road. It's a single-family residence, approximately 13,000 square feet, a little over. The property currently slopes from Bonwit Road toward the rear property line. So,
I'll say.
as you can see on the existing conditions topo, we have the property slopes from the house toward the rear property line. We do have some rear steep slopes in the rear yard. I delineated, showed a hatching of the steep slopes here with the proposed area of disturbance. So the proposed area of disturbance is the zigzag line, and the steep slopes are the hatched areas. The applicant is proposing to make some rear yard improvements for the purposes of creating some beauty and usable space in the rear yard for his children. As you saw, the property currently slopes, so he wanted to create a level area, which is this portion of the property, the last 28 feet or so, to create some usable space. Now, the proposal includes a 20 to 24 inch boulder wall that's approximately 30 feet off the rear property line. We have some blue stone slab steps that will take you from the upper tier, I'll call it, to the lower, more flat rear yard. We have two proposed planting beds, one here, just at the top of the wall, adjacent to the wood deck, and then another planting bed along the side property line over here. The project will not change the direction of runoff, surface runoff. If anything, it'll actually enhance any type of stormwater issues that exist downhill because we are leveling out the rear yard, so it'll create an opportunity for stormwater to actually infiltrate the ground and provide water to the plantings. Other than that,
How is the property stormwater? Where is it draining now?
there's an existing system. We didn't identify exactly where it's located, but the leaders do go underground. To where, we don't know. But we're not proposing any impervious as part of the project, just the
But you
the
are
open jointed
change the natural grade of the property significantly.
We're raising it by approximately 18 inches on the high side, and we're not changing direction of flow. So
Steps aren't impervious?
yes, they are. So the steps and the top of the wall combined is approximately like 98 square feet of impervious surface. So that's where I came up with that 100 square foot number. So to answer your question, the surface runoff currently flows from the house toward the rear property line. What we're doing is adding more plantings and leveling that out slightly prior to the rear property line, so that, if anything, the storm water that is currently flowing in that direction has some time to absorb into the ground and feed the plants, and it's certainly not creating more runoff downstream. I can go over the plantings if you'd like, if you want to see some pictures, or do you have any more questions in regards to the overall plan in the rear yard?
So the sole purpose of doing this is basically to create flat area on the property, correct?
That's right, so his kids can throw a ball, play
I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. I don't think our code goes into that. But if we all do that, I keep saying we are going to become Santorini West.
The wall is only 20 to 24 inches. So it's not something that's,
I don't know if you were here, there was an application, first application that we discussed this evening. The applicant was going to grade, I would say, very, very small portion, insignificant compared to what you are doing there. And we as a board collectively, and there were a lot of neighbors that had some concerns of the retaining walls, the drainage and whatnot. We struggled with it for almost 3-4 meetings until we came to some sort of a meeting of minds, where applicant kind of worked with the board and give and take, and we came out. I don't know how the other board members feel about this, but to me, this is kind of all of a sudden, you're hitting me with such a large amount of unnecessary grading. We are changing the natural contours of the land. I don't know how the other board members feel about that.
So if I could just ask for clarification, right, you're going the full width of the property, okay, regrading, right,
correct.
about 80, 90 feet width, about 24 feet or 26 feet in depth,
Correct.
right? The minimum regrading is how many inches?
The minimum regrading is going to be about 3 inches.
Maximum?
The maximum is going to be about 18.
18, and your retaining wall is a knee wall, basically about 2 feet in height.
Boulder.
Roughly.
Correct.
So it's just a dry boulder wall
Correct.
there, just to hold back some of
One
the slope.
boulder high.
One boulder high. Okay.
I don't have a problem with that.
Not major, but it's a large area.
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying, but yeah.
I don't know, I haven't seen the picture, I haven't seen the real site.
Do you have a rendering?
We have a picture.
I'd like
Yeah,
to see
show
that.
us that, please. Maybe it would look better
It's
if
not a
I see
rendering,
the...
it's
We have an
it's
actual
photos.
picture. Yeah. Sorry, hi, my name is Shyam. I moved to the neighborhood.
Please identify yourself, speak to the microphone.
Yeah, hi, my name is Shyam. I moved with my
You're the
kids.
owner, right?
I'm the owner.
Yes,
Yeah, my
okay.
wife and I moved with
Okay.
our kids, 5 and 6, 2 daughters
Sure.
from the city. And yeah, we have this space in the backyard, and we just want to make sure we can put a tree house or a trampoline for the kids. Right now, it's they can't go down, so we want to make sure
Walk us through those rendering a little slowly. Maybe it's not as bad as I am envisioning it.
Well, there's no renderings of what we're proposing, but we can show you the rear yard as it exists.
Show us the rear yard as currently exists.
Okay, yeah. So, next one. Here you go.
So there's a slope, and then after that, it's actually quite flat. Like it's not like
Where
it's
is your house? Is your house on the high side over there and it's sloping towards the... yeah.
This is the back side of the house. There's a plate that comes down.
Yes.
And
The
what...
kids
what
can actually play here,
yeah.
but just getting down is.
So
we don't let them
the
go down.
drop from the fence to the end of your property, you're looking, what, 7-8 feet?
It's about we calculated about 5 or 6 steps to come down.
Yeah, but then continues further down, no?
No, we're gonna stop it over here. So
Where is the end of your property?
it's right here.
And what's the total elevation? I guess I can look at the survey. The difference between do we have a survey?
Yeah.
We do.
I'll put it up.
What?
right now.
Yeah, please. Would you do that?
Here you go. So existing at the rear yard is about elevation 165, right? And
At the house,
and at the house, it's about 174 at the back of 176 at the back of the deck.
so about 8-9
So it's
feet,
about-
right?
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
a
terrible.
large.
So what is going to be at the, can you go back to the picture? I'm having trouble visualizing what it, where that chain link fence is now, like what is that going to look like?
Here?
Yes, like that part you're going to flatten coming to the chain link
It's going to
fence?
meet existing grade. So it's the grading is going to be such that it tapers off into existing at the fence line. So it'll be slight slope for the first 2 feet off the rear property line, fairly level, probably about 4% slope, and then the 2-foot wall.
But the 2-foot wall is gonna be about here.
It's going to be about here.
Yeah, yeah, you can see, yeah.
So essentially, we're just putting a wall and then some steps so they can come
Right.
around.
So
Okay.
basically, this area right here won't be as slopey, and they can actually use it for, playing ball or whatever the kids would like to do without twisting an ankle.
Is that structure in the neighbor's yard? I'm not sure what it is.
On the corner,
on
right,
the-
bottom
That's the
corner.
neighbor's, this is the neighbor's.
No, how about this chain link fence?
What is that? It's the neighbor's, but what is it?
Oh, it's a deck.
They actually have that one is a deck on the other side.
No, what's this,
Oh, okay.
what's that in the corner right there?
This one?
Yes.
It's just a chain link fence
Chain
that goes
link.
on the back of the property
Okay.
to run around.
And you're saying the water runoff right now goes from, where does the water go as it comes up the hill there?
Yeah, it just goes all the way down to.
Toward the fence. It flows from the house down this hill to the fence.
How does
And
it
it's going to
become-
continue to do that.
How does it become less slopey then? That's what, slopey is a word. I don't understand that.
It is now.
What?
Now it's a word.
Right, slopey. So I can't visualize
So
how
when
this
you-
will change
Okay. I'll
that
try.
play.
So do you want to try to maybe minimize this and go up to a white page and try to draw a quick down and dirty elevation?
Sure. I mean, I think I can explain it.
Or explain.
I think you
Well,
probably
just take
can too.
So
This-
if I add about 10 to 12 inches of soil in this area, right, and then create a gradual slope that meets existing here, then this becomes kind of like that, right? Then you have a 2-foot boulder wall here, right? And then you have the top tier, which is going to be this portion of the property.
So now this become a three-tier.
Tiered instead of just.
Two-
It's sort of like a terrace in a way. You're
Correct.
terracing
It's
down.
terraced.
Right,
That's
right.
100% correct.
Yeah.
So what is that going to do to runoff to that neighbor behind?
So
That's my
water
question.
that comes from uphill is gonna flow into our bed, right? And
Right, yeah.
and be able to actually sit in the bed and be absorbed by the plantings, and then seep through the ground and possibly make its way, some as surface runoff, but mostly recharge groundwater, right? Right now, when surface runoff comes and hits the ground, it continues to flow down the hill toward the neighbor without any type of detention at all. I don't know what just happened, but
That makes sense.
right. So that's why I kept saying that we would essentially be improving the situation downstream.
Mike, for this amount of disturbance, stormwater management is required, right?
No, because our code is based on additional impervious, net increase in impervious. There's no net increase of impervious here. It's only 100 square feet. It's under the 400. So no requirement for stormwater. In fact, by leveling off the property, you're in essence slowing down the sheet flow across the property and giving it time to permeate. So the coefficient of runoff for grass is a 74. So in 20, 30 feet, it's going to have time to absorb. And when you start tiering it with retaining walls and you start putting planters, or I know we had a conversation about river rounds.
Right.
Right. River rocks will slow down the velocity and give a chance to absorb.
So what you're saying, this is going, if I was the neighbor down from this property, actually this would improve the water flow towards my property.
Correct, because it's going to slow it down and give it time to percolate.
All right.
Now, is it going to remove
No.
runoff? No.
No,
So,
absolutely not,
you know,
yes.
but it's going to help slow it down and potentially should be a net reduction in what they see.
Okay, any other questions? Well, we're going to set this for a public hearing, and then if anybody has any problems, they can speak to it.
Okay.
All right?
great. And there were some comments from Hardesty Hanover. I did address some of them.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not call on Sarah. Sarah, my apology.
That's okay. I'll let it slide.
Okay, it's getting late in the evening.
It is. And none of my comments were any real issues. It was more housekeeping items that we need to see on the plans, and it looks like some of them have been added. Delineation of the steep slopes area. We just want to confirm that no trees are being removed as part of the proposed grading, because if they are, then there may be replacement trees that are required. And then in the proposed planting beds, we just need to see the size and species of the proposed planting that are being provided on the plans. And we're just noting that native, non-invasive species are what we like to see.
Okay.
He hasn't, he didn't want the river out. Okay. Right. Thank you.
Yeah, let's read the resolution, please.
Whereas the application has been submitted for approval of a site plan and steep slopes permit on the property located at 52 Bonwit Road. Now therefore be it resolved, the Planning Board of the Village of Rybrook will hold a public hearing on June 8th, 2023 at 6:30 in Village Hall or in a virtual format as may be deemed necessary due to public health concerns. Be it further resolved that the applicant is hereby directed to comply with Section 250-40 of the Village Code regarding notification of the public hearing.
Thank you. Can we have a motion and second?
Moved.
Second.
Thank you. Michael, call the roll.
Mr. Crum.
Yes.
Mr. Mendelson.
Yes.
Mr. Etner.
Yes.
Mr. Richmond.
Yes.
Ms. Schoen.
Yes.
And the amazing acting chairman, Kazan.
That's the last for the evening, right? Of course, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for
See
your
you,
time.
see you next
See you
month.
next month.
Okay?
Good luck.
If there is no other matters, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I did say we're going to finish